Growing up, a lot of us didn't just learn that money was hard to get. We learned something more dangerous, that money itself was a little bit suspicious, that wanting too much of it made you greedy. Having too much of it too fast made people whisper about you. That the safest way to relate to wealth was not to want it too badly. Today, we'll be talking about where that mindset actually came from and what it actually cost us, and how to unlearn that belief or that mindset for real, not just in theory. You are welcome to Rise 54 Africa, a channel where we learn how to build wealth, how to align with the right mindset and habits when it comes to success, and also learn how to live excellence. We also talk and study about some personalities, specifically in Africa and the world at large. We react to news and some trending videos related to success, mindset shift, and living excellence. So if you've not subscribed, kindly subscribe to the channel for more educative content, and also share it to your platforms to spread the message across the globe. My name is Divine SK, and this is Rise 54 Africa. Let's be precise about what we are talking about, because poor mindset poor mindset gets thrown around loosely. It shows up as three connected beliefs: the scarcity thinking, the suspicion of wealth, and the guilt around ambition. Let me explain that in a sentence. So when I talk about scarcity thinking, it is actually the assumption that there isn't enough to go around. So someone else's gain must be your loss. That is about scarcity thinking. And when it comes to suspicion of wealth, it is actually the instinct that fast or large or huge amount of money must be dirty money, which we call the ritual money, the corruption money, the Yahoo money, or the fraud money, even when there is no evidence of that. And lastly, guilt around ambition. This is the quiet pressure that wanting more than your community, more than your family, more than your peers makes you selfish, proud, or disconnected from where you came from. None of these came from nowhere. Let's talk about some four real root causes of those beliefs. So here's the first root cause: when a huge share of visible wealthy people in a country got their wealth through public office theft, oil scams, or exploitation, and you see everybody knows about it. It's not irrational to grow up associating money with corruption. That suspicion was earned by real bad actors. This is the mistake. If you actually apply this to everyone else who has money, including the accountant who saved for 10 years or even more to get to where he or she is, or the trader who built his business from nothing. The second root cause: in many of our communities, when you make it, when you make it, you are expected to carry an entire extended family or sometimes an entire village on your income. That's not inherently bad. Community support is strength. But when success guarantees you be drained by obligation, some people unconsciously avoid visible success. Why? Just to protect what little they have. Here's the third cause: some religious teachings were taken out of context. You see, many of us grew up in churches and mosques that preach warning against greed and the love for money. It is important. I'm not saying it is not. It is very important, and they are all valid teachings. But without matching content on stewardship, on savings, on investment, on building wealth responsibly, this will be the result of that. A generation that heard money is the root of evil 1,000 times, and a generation that also, or a generation that is also hearing, here's how to save money the wise way, almost never believes it is possible. This is the fourth. Here's the fourth root cause, which I call the crab in a bucket social pressure. When one person starts rising, some communities pull them back through gossip, through envy or sabotage instead of lifting them up. Watching this happen to others teaches some young people early that visible ambition invites attack. So many learn to hide their ambition instead of pursuing it. And this is actually the character of a crab. When you put them in a bucket, they actually pull their neighbors down instead of helping them get to the top, for them to also help them climb. So here's the real damage concretely. If you secretly believe money is dirty, you will self sabotage the moment you start making real progress, because success now feels dangerous, not desirable. If you also believe wealth guarantees that you'll be drained by obligations, then you will avoid building anything visible. You stay small on purpose just to stay safe. Again, if you associate ambition with greed, you will under negotiate your salary, you will undercharge for your work, you stay quiet about your goals that could actually attract support. And also at a national level, when a whole generation quietly believes wealth is either evil or impossible, fewer people take the entrepreneurial risk that build companies, create jobs, and grow economies. That mindset doesn't just cost individual, it costs the entire continent at scale. This is the part that matters, because naming the problem alone isn't enough. Here's what actually shifts it. I mean, the solutions to that. I'll give you about six solutions to that. So the first solution is that you separate the money from the person. Money is just a tool, and it amplifies whatever character that is already there. So a generous person becomes more generous, and a corrupt person becomes more corrupt. The tool isn't evil. Judge the method, not the amount. The second solution, we need to get real financial education very early. Trust me. We need to be educated on budgeting, savings, investing, understanding interest and inflation. This has to be taught deliberately, because it's not coming from this problem is not coming from tradition or religion alone. You need to read yourself, you need to take some courses, you need to follow people who teaches this honestly, and not just people who flash wealth around. The third solution is that you need to build boundaries around communal obligations. Supporting family and community is very, very, very valuable. Trust me, it is very valuable. But sustainable giving comes from a budget, not from unlimited guilt. Decide in advance what you can give, protect the rest for reinvestment, and communicate that clearly and very, very, very respectfully, because family is key. Very clearly and very respectfully communicate that to them. Solution number four, normalize talking about money with people you trust. Secrecy breeds both shame and suspicion. Find or build a small circle of friends, mentors, or a mastermind group where salary, savings goals, and business numbers can be discussed honestly without judgment. The fifth solution, make visible examples of clean built wealth. Every time an entrepreneur talks openly about how they built something, the failures, the debt, the slow years, not just the highlight reels, it chips away at the assumptions that all fast success must be dirty. This is part of why channels like this one matters, showing the boring real process behind their wealth or behind wealth. Solution number six. This is the last solution I want to give to these problems. Redefine ambition as service, not selfishness. The most powerful mindset shift is this: building wealth responsibly is one of the most effective ways to help communities, because a person with resources can employ people, they can fund school fees, they can invest in local businesses in a way a person with good, just good intentions but no capital simply cannot. Let's be very real here. Nobody is born believing money is evil. It is literally being taught by real corruption we watched over the years since we were growing, by real economic betrayal we've lived through, by real communities that sometimes punish ambition instead of rewarding it. But the mindset that was taught can be untaught. The goal isn't to chase money at any cost. It is to stop being afraid of it and start building it honestly, on purpose, without guilt. That's the shift Rise 54 Africa is here to push. So if you've been able to watch to the end, I want to say a very big thank you for sticking around. And I know this helps you unlearn that mentality about money. It is very brief, but it is very educative. I want you to like and subscribe and share this channel. We'll talk about something very interesting and more educative in the next videos. Join me, let's start revealing secrets in our next videos. My name is Divine Eski, and this is Rise 54 Africa, where we talk about building wealth for the next generation of Africans. Sign out.